Welcome back to the Numbous Hunter, your ultimate destination for diving deep into the mysterious, surprising, and incredibly lucrative world of rare coins. And today we're unlocking a story that has shaken the entire numismatic community. A story that turns an ordinary-looking pocket change coin into a multi-million dollar treasure. So get ready because the 1974 quarter, yes, the common Washington quarter you've probably held countless times, is said to have one version that carries a jaw-dropping value of $71 million dollars due to its extraordinary errors, shocking minting mistakes, and rare possibilities that make collectors go wild. And as we explore the secrets behind this coin, you'll realize why so many treasure hunters, metal detectorists, estate sale explorers, and coin enthusiasts are scrambling to examine every single 1974 quarter they come across. Because hidden in the everyday world might be a life-changing fortune waiting to be discovered. And the fascinating part of this story is that the 1974 quarter was never intended to become rare, never meant to be a coin of legendary value. In fact, it was supposed to be just another year in the long-running Washington Quarter series, made of copper-nickel clad and produced in huge numbers at multiple mints. But what transformed this simple coin into a mythical multi-million dollar piece are the mysterious production anomalies. Planchet surprises, striking misalignments, unexpected compositions, and hidden experimental minting possibilities that surround the coins of that era. And when we talk about errors that push a coin to a valuation as astronomical as $71 million, we are referring to mistakes so dramatic, so rare, and so outside the normal minting process that they might exist in only one or two specimens in the entire world, making them essentially the holy grail of American numismatics. And when collectors speculate about a 1974 quarter worth such a staggering amount, they point to a range of potential errors, including the possibility of a wrong planchet strike, where the coin might have been accidentally minted on a silver planchet left over from earlier years, or even on a foreign coin planchet that somehow found its way into the coin presses. And such a mistake could drastically change the weight, color, luster, and ring of the coin, making it immediately different from the typical clad quarter. And then there's the theory of a double strike or triple strike error in which the coin is struck more than once without being properly ejected, leading to distorted features, overlapping images, and unusual outlines that collectors consider exceptionally valuable because the minting machinery normally prevents such mistakes. But during high production years like the 1970s, errors could slip through. And another possibility collectors whisper about is the existence of a 1974 quarter struck with a proof die in a non-proof environment or vice versa, creating razor-sharp details, unusual mirror-like surfaces, or unpredictable frosting that stands out from all standard circulation strikes. And some numismatists even speculate about experimental clad layers used during transitional production tests, meaning the coin could have an unexpected metal composition, such as 40% silver clad or a unique copper-nickel ratio that makes it unlike any normal quarter from that year. And what makes the story even more intriguing is that the 1974 era was full of minting, transitions, and ongoing tests connected to other denominations, such as the famous 1974 aluminum penny experiment. So the idea that an off-metal or experimental quarter could have been accidentally struck and escaped into circulation is not far-fetched. And then there are striking anomalies like off-center strikes where part of the design is missing or shifted dramatically, broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its intended boundaries, clipped planchets where a piece of the coin is literally cut out before striking, and double rim errors where overlapping rims create an unusual border, all of which can multiply a coin's desirability and value. But to reach a multi-million dollar range, the coin must have a perfect storm of extreme rarity, extraordinary condition, historical mystery, and unmistakable minting flaws. And this is where the legendary narrative of the $71 million 1974 quarter gains its power, because collectors believe that if such a coin existed, would combine multiple ultra-rare errors into a single specimen, perhaps a wrong planchet strike combined with a dramatic double strike and a unique die pairing. And even more puzzling is the possibility that it might carry a mint mark anomaly, such as a D or S mint mark misplacement, overstrike, or repunched mint mark that adds to its uniqueness. And when rare coins reach mythical values like this, it's because they are not only rare, but they're the only known example of their kind, making them priceless to elite collectors who are willing to pay amounts that sound unbelievable to the general public. And the 1974 quarter also holds fascination because it belongs to a series that has produced several valuable error coins in other years, such as off-metal quarters minted on dime planchets or on 40% silver planchets from leftover stock, proving that the mint did indeed have unexpected planchets pass through its machinery during the 1970s, increasing the likelihood that something extraordinary could have happened in 1974 specifically. And imagine finding a coin like this, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, but upon closer inspection reveals weight differences, strange coloration, doubled lettering, misaligned designs, or unexpected metal composition that instantly transforms it into a one-of-a-kind treasure. And that possibility is what fuels the obsession among coin hunters and collectors, pushing them to examine every 1974 quarter they own or come across. Whether in pocket change, coin rolls, old jars, estate boxes, or inherited collections. Because the idea that something as simple and everyday as a quarter could be worth $71 million is almost impossible to ignore. And what makes this story even more electrifying is that many of the most valuable error coins in history were found accidentally by ordinary people who had no idea what they were holding until an expert examined it, meaning that the next lucky discovery could happen anywhere, in any home, in any wallet, at any moment. And that suspense, that thrill, that hope is what drives the passion behind numismatics. And the 1974 quarter continues to inspire that excitement because its potential errors are not only rare, but visually dramatic, historically significant, and economically life-changing. And when you consider that a single dramatic mint error has sold for millions before, such as off-metal or pattern coins that broke auction records, the idea of $71 million 1974 quarter becomes more believable within the world of elite collectors. And the beauty of numismatics is that every coin tells a story, every mint mistake captures a moment of human or mechanical imperfection, and every rare discovery reminds us that treasures still hide in plain sight, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize them. So as you search through your coins, especially your 1974 quarters, pay close attention to the weight, the rim, the lettering, the portrait details, the reverse design, the sound when you tap it, and the feel in your hand, because you never know what unusual characteristics might reveal themselves. And that tiny difference could be the very clue that sets your coin apart from millions of others. So stay curious, stay alert, and keep hunting, because the world of rare coins is full of surprises. And with stories like the $71 million 1974 quarter fueling the imagination of collectors everywhere, the hunt becomes even more thrilling. So check your coins, explore every detail, and always believe that the next big discovery could be yours, right here with the Numis Hunter. Next, 1971 quarter dollar coin that is said to be worth an unimaginable $53 million due to a combination of extreme minting errors, rare anomalies, and unexpected production mistakes that elevate an ordinary-looking coin into a priceless masterpiece. And as we dive into this fascinating story, you'll understand why this particular year's quarter has captured so much attention. Why collectors search every pocket of old clothing, every dusty jar, every inherited box, and every forgotten roll of coins, hoping to uncover one of the rarest mint error specimens ever rumored to exist. And this incredible valuation isn't just about rarity. It's about the shocking possibilities that surround the 1971 minting process, a year that quietly holds some of the most intriguing mysteries in the history of American coin production. Because even though millions of 1971 Washington quarters rolled off the presses in typical copper-nickel clad composition, a few extraordinary exceptions may have slipped through the cracks, errors so unbelievable and so unusual that they could be valued in the multi-millions today. And when collectors talk about a coin worth $53 million, they're not referring to slight misalignments or minor scratches. They're pointing to errors of monumental scale, errors that only occur once in several lifetimes, such as the possibility that a 1971 quarter was accidentally struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet from pre-1965 production, or even on a 40% silver planchet used for special issues around that era. And such a coin would weigh differently, shine differently, sound differently, and appear noticeably distinct from standard clad quarters, instantly setting it apart as an ultra-rare variety with enormous collector demand. And another possibility fueling the legend surrounds wrong planchet errors, where the quarter may have been struck on a planchet mint for another denomination entirely, like a dime or half-dollar planchet, or even on a foreign coin planchet used for international production runs conducted by the U.S. Mint during the early 1970s. And if such a mistake occurred, the coin might show abnormal thickness, incomplete design details, unusual rims, or a unique metallic composition that would make it one of the rarest off-metal strikes ever discovered. And then there's the fascinating possibility of double strike, triple strike, or even off-center double strike errors, where the coin was struck more than once or at strange angles due to mechanical malfunction or improper ejection from the coin press, producing overlapping images, shadowed lettering, distorted portraits, or expanded edges that collectors prize deeply, because such dramatic minting errors almost never escape into circulation. And the 1971 production year is especially interesting because it followed several years of intense minting experimentation, composition adjustments, and equipment transitions, meaning that the potential for extraordinary mistakes was higher than usual. And when you combine that with the sheer scale of coin production from the early 1970s, the possibility that a handful of spectacular errors were created becomes even more believable. And some numismatists even speculate the existence of a mirror finish or proof-like 1971 quarter accidentally produced at a circulation mint using polished dies or experimental equipment, resulting in a coin with abnormally sharp details, deep reflective fields, and frosted devices that would stand out dramatically from the ordinary duller circulation strikes. And this would be especially valuable if combined with any off-metal or structural error, creating a once-in-a-generation type rarity that collectors would pay almost anything to possess. And when we explore the deeper layers of what could make a 1971 quarter worth $53 million, we must consider the extremely unlikely but not impossible event that a transitional error occurred, such as an unintentional blend of metals being used in a limited batch of planchets, creating a unique composition only found on one or two surviving coins. And such anomalies have happened before in numismatic history, proving that minting mistakes are not just myths, but real events documented in various denominations over multiple decades. And the mystique surrounding the 1971 quarter is also strengthened by rumors of a specimen believed to exhibit a complex combination of errors, possibly a wrong planchet strike combined with a deep die clash, misaligned die strike, and partial collar strike, creating an appearance so unusual that it could not have happened intentionally. And coins with multiple simultaneous errors are considered some of the rarest and most fascinating collectibles in existence because they represent a perfect storm of minting malfunction. And then there are the theories involving repunched mint marks, overstruck designs, or accidentally used prototype dies any of which could raise the value dramatically depending on rarity, visibility, and historical significance. And collectors often speculate about the possibility that the error coin might be the only surviving specimen of its kind, because once a major error is discovered at the mint, the entire batch is typically destroyed. So if even one coin slipped into circulation, it would be essentially irreplaceable, offering a level of exclusivity that could justify its multi-million-dollar value. And when we consider the economics of elite numismatics, where private collectors, museums, and high-end investors compete for ownership of unique mint error pieces, the idea of a $53 million price tag becomes more realistic, because in the world of rare coins, uniqueness, condition, and historical significance often outweigh any standard price guide. And this brings us to the most extraordinary part of the story: the possibility that the legendary 1971 quarter might feature a blend of errors so rare that it cannot be replicated or matched, such as a coin struck on a silver planchet but with partial copper-nickel cladding, or a coin struck with mismatched dies from two different years, or even a coin that carries faint traces of another denomination's design due to an overstruck error. And such anomalies would produce visual clues like unusual rim thickness, doubled edges, ghost images behind the main portrait, strange coloration, partial lettering that doesn't belong, or weight that differs significantly from the expected 5.67 grams of a standard clad quarter. And anyone discovering such a coin would immediately know they were holding something extraordinary. And the thrill of that possibility is what drives collectors to inspect their coins carefully, because history has shown us that some of the most valuable coins ever found were discovered by everyday people who simply took the time to examine what others overlooked. And that is why the 1971 quarter continues to capture imagination, because every coin hunter wonders if they might be the one to find the legendary multi-million-dollar specimen. And even though the average 1971 quarter in circulation holds little more than face value, the idea that a tiny fraction of them might carry extreme mint errors keeps the search alive. And it's this suspense, this sense of possibility, and this thrill of the unknown that makes numismatics such a captivating world. And when we think about the potential value of a $53 million error coin, we must remember that the most prized mint errors known today often sold for record-breaking amounts due to their rarity, story, and visual impact. And a coin like the rumored 1971 quarter would certainly attract global attention, fierce bidding, and historical significance, turning it into a pinnacle of coin collecting history. So keep examining your change, your jars, your drawers, and your inherited collections, because every collector, every treasure hunter, and every enthusiast dreams of that one moment when they uncover a coin no one else knew existed. And the legendary 1971 quarter worth $53 million is exactly the kind of discovery that can change a life, redefine a collection, and shock the world. So stay curious, keep hunting, and never underestimate the power of a single coin, because your next remarkable discovery might be waiting right in front of you, only here with a Numis Hunter. Next, 1967 $quarter coin that is said to have a version worth a staggering $23 million due to its rare combination of mint errors, production anomalies, and extremely unusual characteristics that set it apart from the millions of ordinary 1967 quarters produced during the peak of America's transitional coinage era. And as we unfold this astonishing tale, you will understand why this particular year's quarter has become the subject of endless speculation, why collectors search through their old jars, inherited boxes, forgotten rolls, and everyday pocket change, hoping to uncover one of these ultra-rare specimens, and why the 1967 quarter has become one of the most talked-about coins among treasure hunters who believe that hidden somewhere in the world might be a once-in-a-lifetime mint error waiting to be discovered. because the value of $23 million is not attached to any ordinary flaw or simple scratch, but to massive, dramatic, and extremely rare minting mistakes that could only have occurred due to unusual circumstances of the mint during a year already filled with historical changes in American coin production. And to understand why collectors believe such a valuable variant of the 1967 quarter could exist, we must go back to the environment of the United States Mint during the mid-1960s, a time when silver coinage had just ended and the mint was transitioning fully into copper-nickel-clad coinage after the Coinage Act of 1965. And during this transitional period, experimental planchets, leftover silver blanks, striking equipment adjustments, and rapid production changes all created a perfect storm for unexpected and extremely rare errors to occur. And this is exactly why the 1967 quarter has become such a compelling subject for collectors. Because although the mint produced hundreds of millions of these clad quarters, the chaotic conditions of the era make it entirely possible that a few extraordinary mistakes slipped out. Mistakes so dramatic that they elevate an otherwise common coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And when people talk about a 1967 quarter worth $23 million, they are referencing the possibility of rare wrong planchet strikes, where the coin could have been minted accidentally on a leftover 90% silver planchet from before 1965, or on a 40% silver half-dollar planchet, or even on a foreign planchet used for international coinage contracts, because the U.S. Mint struck coins for foreign countries during the period, and a foreign coin blank might have entered the presses, resulting in a unique weight, color, metallic composition, and overall appearance that instantly sets the coin apart as a rarity of unimaginable value. And such silver or off-metal planchet errors are among the rarest and most sought-after finds in all of numismatics, often selling for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. But when such an error is combined with other anomalies, or is the only known example, it creates a perfect storm of rarity capable of reaching multi-million-dollar valuations. And another extraordinary possibility that fuels the legend of the $23 million 1967 quarter involves multi-strike errors, where the coin could have been struck twice or even 3 times due to mechanical malfunction or a failure to eject from the striking chamber. And such dramatic double strike or triple strike errors can produce overlapping images, shadowed lettering, distorted edges, expanded shapes, missing design portions, and other incredible visual anomalies that collectors go wild for, because these coins escape destruction only under extremely unusual circumstances. And the 1967 production year is also known for die breaks, die cracks, die chips, and cut errors where broken or damaged dies create raised metal blobs, missing sections, or unusual patterns on the coin's surface. And although common die cracks may not be worth much, extreme die breaks that dramatically affect the portrait, lettering, or the iconic eagle on the reverse can make a coin incredibly special. And some collectors speculate that the elusive $23 million specimen might be a combination error coin that includes a wrong planchet strike along with a dramatic double strike and major die clash or die break, creating a coin with visual characteristics so rare and so powerful that no other 1967 quarter could match its uniqueness. And in numismatics, uniqueness is everything, because when a coin is the only known example of its kind, collectors, investors, and museums are willing to pay almost any amount to own it, especially when the error is visually stunning, historically important, and completely unrepeatable. And what makes the 1967 quarter even more interesting is that proof sets were not produced that year. So any quarter with a mirror-like proof finish or deeply reflective surfaces could only have been created accidentally due to the use of improperly polished dies or experimental dies. And such a coin would stand out immediately because clad coins from that year typically have a duller surface compared to earlier silver issues, and the idea that a proof-like or experimental die strike accidentally entered circulation adds another layer of mystery to the story. And then there is the possibility of striking misalignments, where the dies and planchet were not properly positioned, leading to off-center strikes, broad strikes without a collar, partial collar strikes where one edge is expanded, or even missing design elements due to severe misalignment. And these errors are always highly collectible, but a dramatic off-center strike combined with an off-metal composition in a year as chaotic as 1967 would be considered priceless. And this is where the imagination of collectors fuels the legend. Because if a 1967 quarter exists that carries multiple errors simultaneously, such as an off-metal strike, major double strike, off-center misalignment, and a dramatic die break, then such a coin would be nothing short of a numismatic miracle, the kind of coin that appears once in a century. And such a coin could absolutely command the unbelievable valuation of $23 million among elite collectors who understand the historical and physical impossibility of such an error being repeated. And the idea of a multi-million-dollar 1967 quarter isn't just fantasy, because other coins with extreme mint errors have sold for astonishing prices before, proving that the combination of rarity, dramatic appearance, and historical significance can push a coin's value into unthinkable territory. And the mystery surrounding the 1967 quarter also comes from reports of unusual weights, unexpected colors, strange ringing tones when tapped, or odd rim structures discovered in rare examples, suggesting that experimental or off-metal blanks may have indeed been used accidentally during the rush of 1967 production. And when we consider how many coins were struck that year and how many planchets were being processed at high speed due to the national coin shortage, the possibility that a few abnormal planchets slipped through becomes even more believable. And this is exactly why collectors today inspect their 1967 quarters so closely, weighing them, studying their rims, examining the details of Washington's portrait and the eagle on the reverse, looking for doubling, extra metal, missing pieces, cracks, clashes, or anything that stands out even slightly from the normal design, because that tiny difference could be a sign of an extraordinary and extremely rare error. And the thought that a simple coin found in change could turn into a $23 million discovery keeps the excitement alive in the numismatic world. And what makes this story even more thrilling is that many of the most valuable error coins in history were not found in collections or auctions, but by ordinary people who simply paid attention, meaning the next life-changing discovery could be sitting unnoticed in a drawer, a jar, a box, or a forgotten pocket. And that sense of possibility is what fuels the passion behind coin collecting and treasure hunting, reminding us that hidden wonders still exist in the everyday world, and that the next million-dollar discovery may be waiting just around the corner. So keep searching, keep examining your change. Next, 1986 D $quarter coin, a coin most people overlook without a second thought, is rumored to have an extremely rare version worth an astonishing $9 million due to extraordinary minting mistakes, dramatic production errors, and once-in-a-lifetime anomalies that make it one of the most intriguing coins to ever spark excitement in the coin collecting world. And as we uncover the secrets behind this incredible claim, you'll understand why collectors search through jars, pocket change, old rolls, inherited collections, and even dusty drawers hoping to find that one special specimen that could rewrite numismatic history. And the year 1986 itself was not a transitional year like some earlier decades, but it was a period of heavy production at the Denver Mint, a time when machinery was pushed to its limits due to growing demand for circulating coinage. And whenever production runs reach that scale, the chances of rare errors escaping into circulation increased dramatically, which is why the 1986 D quarter has become such a thrilling topic for treasure hunters. because while millions were minted normally, the sheer volume and speed of production opened the door for extraordinary mistakes that could transform a common 25-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar marvel. And one of the most talked about possibilities behind the $9 million valuation is the wrong planchet error, where the quarter may have been accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination or another metal composition entirely, meaning the coin could have been struck on a copper cent planchet, producing a noticeably lighter quarter with incomplete design elements, or on a nickel planchet, creating unusual coloration and abnormal thickness, or even on a foreign coin planchet, since the U.S. Mint produced coins for other countries during this era. And such off-metal or foreign planchet errors are incredibly rare, often selling for thousands or tens of thousands. But when the strike is bold, visually dramatic, and potentially unique, the value can skyrocket into multi-million-dollar territory, especially if the specimen is the only known example. And another possibility that fuels the $9 million legend is a double strike or triple strike error where the coin was struck more than once, either partially rotated between strikes or struck off-center during the second impact, producing overlapping images, distorted lettering, shadowed portraits, and expanded edges that collectors adore, because these dramatic minting mistakes are visually shocking and immediately recognizable as once-in-a-lifetime errors. And given that the minting machinery in 1986 was designed to prevent such mistakes, any example that did escape the mint would be incredibly valuable, especially if the error is severe, unmistakable, and unrepeated. And then we must consider the possibility of a broad strike or off-center error, where the collar failed to hold the planchet properly, causing the design to expand or shift to one side, sometimes leaving large blank areas on the coin. And when combined with a strong strike from Denver's high power press as the result, could be a uniquely distorted quarter that collectors would pay enormous amounts to own, especially if paired with another simultaneous error like a die crack or misaligned die. And speaking of die errors, the Denver Mint in the 1980s saw its share of die deterioration, die polishing marks, die clashes, and die breaks. And although minor die cracks are common and not very valuable, extreme die breaks or cut errors, where entire chunks of the die break off and leave huge raised metal blobs or missing sections on the coin, can be incredibly rare and valuable, especially when they appear on only one or two known specimens. And some collectors speculate that the legendary $9 million 1986 D quarter may have been the result of a severe cut combined with another dramatic error, creating a coin with visual abnormalities so rare that it stands alone in numismatic history. And another exciting possibility centers around an overstruck error, where a 1986 D quarter may have been accidentally struck over another coin entirely, leaving ghost images, traces of another denomination's design, or overlapping details that do not belong. And such overstrikes are among the rarest and most visually amazing mint errors ever recorded, often selling for immense sums because they represent a direct mechanical malfunction impossible to replicate intentionally. And then we must consider the off-center double strike, where the coin is struck once, ejected improperly, and then struck again with part of the coin hanging outside the striking chamber, creating a dramatic partial design and doubling that makes the coin instantly special. And when collectors imagine a specimen worth $9 million, they often picture a combination of these extreme errors occurring simultaneously, creating a numismatic masterpiece that cannot be matched. Another possibility involves a mint mark error, such as a repunched mint mark where the D was stamped twice in slightly different positions, or misplaced mint mark accidentally touching the date or Washington's portrait. And while minor mint mark variations do occur, an outrageous and unmistakable mint mark mistake combined with another major error could push the value to world record levels. And then there is the possibility of a rare die trial, strike or test strike accidentally entering circulation, meaning the coin could have been part of an experimental run using unfinished die surfaces, unusual pressure settings, or incorrect metal hardness, resulting in abnormal details, odd textures, shallow relief, or mirror-like proof-style finish, even though 1986 quarters were never intended to have such characteristics. And a test strike escaping the mint would be nearly priceless due to its rarity. And this is why collectors are so captivated by the idea of a $9 million 1986 D quarter, because the Denver Mint did produce extremely large quantities during the 1980s, increasing the chances that at least one extraordinary mistake could have been created, slipped through quality control, and entered circulation unnoticed. And what makes this story even more thrilling is the fact that countless multi-million-dollar error coins throughout history were discovered not by dealers or experts, but by ordinary people checking their change. Meaning anyone holding a 1986 D quarter today could be holding a life-changing treasure without even realizing it. And that possibility alone keeps collectors motivated to inspect every detail of their coins, examining rims for unusual thickness, checking the weight for deviations from the standard 5.67 grams, looking closely at Washington's profile for doubling or distortion, inspecting the eagle on the reverse for misaligned feathers or missing details, searching for cracks, chips, clashes, overstrikes, missing parts, or abnormal shine. Because every tiny clue can reveal that the coin in hand might be something astonishing. And the excitement grows when collectors recall legendary error coins that have sold for huge sums before, proving that mint mistakes of extreme rarity truly can reach sky-high values. And when a coin has the perfect combination of rarity, dramatic visual appeal, historical intrigue, and uniqueness, wealthy collectors compete fiercely to own it, driving the price to levels that seem unbelievable to the average person. And this is exactly the kind of scenario that creates the myth, the excitement, and the possibility of a $9 million 1986 D quarter, because although the vast majority of these coins are ordinary, even a single extraordinary specimen hidden among them could change the life of the person who finds it, transform a collection, and become a legendary story told for generations. And that thrill, that sense of possibility in that excitement is what keeps the numismatic world alive and thriving. Because every coin has a story, every minting error has a reason, and every rare discovery reminds us that unimaginable treasures can be hiding in the most unexpected places. So keep searching, keep checking your change, keep hunting through your jars and boxes, and never underestimate the power of an ordinary coin. Last, now we dive deep into the astonishing world of a 1993 P quarter-dollar coin that has shocked collectors around the globe because of the unbelievable claim that one specific example is valued at a jaw-dropping $11 million. And while that number sounds absolutely unreal, the story behind the coin, the errors, the striking anomalies, the minting defects, and the mysterious circumstances that could have resulted in such an extraordinary valuation is exactly what makes this coin so fascinating. So today, sit back and get ready, because we're about to explore why a seemingly ordinary pocket change coin from 1993 could potentially be worth more than luxurious mansions, supercars, and even entire private islands, all because of a combination of rare mint mistakes, unexpected striking conditions, and numismatic oddities that make it one of the most talked about coins in modern American history. And as we begin this journey, imagine holding a simple quarter minted in Philadelphia in 1993, a year when millions upon millions of quarters were produced with the standard copper-nickel clad composition. The familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. Nothing fancy, nothing rare, just an everyday circulation coin. But out of these millions, the existence of even a single quarter with extraordinary mint errors could change the entire narrative. And that is exactly what makes this story so intriguing, because the value is not based on ordinary characteristics, but on anomalies so rare that collectors believe only a miracle of mistakes and fortunate circumstances could have allowed such a coin to exist in flawless, museum-level condition. And one of the first major factors that pushes the value of a 1993 P quarter into the realm of millions is the potential presence of a dramatic off-metal strike, meaning the coin might have been accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a nickel or even a silver planchet left over from older coinage production, which, although seems impossible, still happens in extremely rare circumstances when blank planchet from previous runs remain lodged in the machinery and unexpectedly enter the striking chamber, resulting in hybrid coins that were never meant to exist. And this alone can skyrocket value because the US Mint is known for tight quality control. So mistakes of this magnitude genuinely are once-in-a-generation occurrences. But what really pushes the narrative of an $11 million value is when multiple errors stack together in one single coin, something like an off-center strike combined with a double-die obverse where the inscriptions appear doubled, especially the Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year 1993, and when these doubled inscriptions are bold, clear, and dramatic. Collectors recognize them as extremely rare double-die errors that can turn any ordinary coin into a numismatic treasure worth tens of thousands. But when paired with additional striking anomalies, the value multiplies exponentially. And imagine a coin like this also being perfectly preserved, meaning it escaped circulation entirely, somehow never reaching the hands of the public, maintaining pristine surfaces with no scratches, no wear, no signs of handling, and that level of survival is incredibly rare for coins outside special collector releases. So when a raw, circulation-intended quarter from 1993 appears in nearly flawless mint state condition, it creates a sensation in the coin community because rarity plus error plus condition is the magic formula that fuels multi-million-dollar valuations. And collectors also speculate that a coin like this could have a dramatic off-center error where part of the design is missing because the planchet was not properly aligned during striking. And in extreme cases, the misalignment can be so large that half the coin is blank while the other half shows the design, making it visually striking and incredibly desirable. And imagine this combined with the Philadelphia Mint Mark P placed slightly out of alignment or struck twice, giving it an unusual and unmistakable look, further amplifying its uniqueness. And another possibility that experts consider is a wrong planchet error where the coin could weigh differently from the standard 5.67 grams, perhaps closer to the weight of a silver planchet or even an international coin blank accidentally mixed into US Mint inventory, situations that have indeed happened historically and have created some of the most valuable mint error coins known today. And if this hypothetical 1993 P quarter turned out to contain even a trace of silver due to an accidental planchet mix-up, its rarity would soar to unimaginable levels, because after 1964, standard circulating quarters were no longer produced in silver. So finding a 1993 circulation coin with silver composition would be almost like discovering a modern-day treasure crafted by mistake, and collectors would fight fiercely for ownership of such a numismatic miracle, pushing its value to dramatic heights. And beyond composition errors, there's also the possibility of a dramatic broad strike error, where the coin expands outward, losing its traditional reeded edges and appearing wider and smoother, giving it a very distinctive appearance that captures attention instantly. And even more astonishing would be a multiple strike error where the quarter was struck 2 or 3 times, resulting in overlapping images, ghost-like outlines of Washington's profile, or duplicated sections of the eagle on the reverse, all of which are extremely rare and visually spectacular errors that collectors adore. And when these kinds of mistakes are sharp, clear, and well-preserved, their values reach astronomical levels. And the story becomes even more compelling when we consider the mysterious possibility that the coin may have been part of an experimental test. Strike or transitional trial coin that accidentally left the mint, because the US Mint sometimes tests new dyes, new striking pressures, or new planchet materials. And although these experimental pieces are meant to be destroyed, rare occasions occur where one escapes the minting facility, intentionally or unintentionally, creating one-of-a-kind coins that cannot be replicated and therefore fetch unbelievable prices at auctions. And if the 1993 P quarter in question belonged to such a category, its uniqueness alone could justify valuations climbing into the millions. And collectors also examine die cracks, cuds, and breaks, which are raised lines or missing design sections caused by damaged dies. And when the damage is significant and clearly visible, it creates dramatic visual effects that collectors love, and in some extremely rare cases, the die damage can create shapes or patterns that stand out so boldly that they become famous within the numismatic community. And if the 1993 P quarter featured an enormous die break that altered part of Washington's portrait or the eagle's wings, it would instantly become legendary, and the potential that such a coin could exhibit all of these characteristics together, or even a combination of just a few of them, is what fuels the imagination of collectors and drives speculation about multi-million-dollar valuations. Because in numismatics, rarity is king, and when rarity intersects with mystery, condition, dramatic visual appearance, and significant minting mistakes, the value skyrockets far beyond what any ordinary coin could ever achieve. And that is why 1993 P quarter, a coin millions of people have handled without a second thought, could under the right circumstances be worth a staggering $11 million, turning an everyday object into an astonishing treasure. And this is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, because it reminds us that hidden gems can be anywhere, even in the most ordinary. Pocket change. And as coin hunters and collectors, we live for that one extraordinary discovery that changes everything. The one coin that proves that lightning can strike in the world of mint errors and that miracles can still happen at the US Mint. And stories like this inspire collectors around the world to keep searching, keep learning.